The encompassing darkness pressed on her body, and she felt like a feather, descending slowly, devoid of any direction. She was surrounded by nothingness, the coldness making her feel as though she was useless and unable to move. Her hazel eyes watched as her blonde hair danced in the wind, a gentle flutter against her cheeks as she realized she was falling. In her mind, replayed the moments leading up to the point where the darkness took over. She inhaled deeply to soothe her pounding heart, then she shut her eyes and let memories float back. The typewriter's soft sound mingled with the smell of smoke, creating a cozy atmosphere in the room as the fire crackled in the chimney. The woman, feeling the burden of her secrets, typed a message at her desk as sand slipped through the hourglass. A sudden jolt of energy surged between her fingers, and she furrowed her brow, her heart pounding in response. "Oh no! What now?" whispered the woman. Without a second thought, she got up from her desk, the squeak of her chair echoing as she glanced around the room. She tilted her head, her gaze fixed on the wisp of smoke that hung in the shadow corner of the room. "I know you are there! Show yourself!" The darkness swelled, taking the silhouette of a human form. Almost instantly, it shifted, becoming a man with striking features that emphasized his intense gaze. His black robes seemed to be like a living shadows, quivering and hissing with a life of their own. Although his presence exuded an aura of darkness, his eyes softened as he looked at the woman. Tilting her head, she felt the warmth of her own inner light. Without a second thought, she dashed to him, feeling the warmth of his skin as she wrapped her arms around his neck. He chuckled softly, and the scent of her perfume filled the air as he embraced her in a warm hug. "I missed you, Dean," whispered the woman. The smell of his darkness was a distinct blend of a sharp pepper, softened vanilla, and earthy cedar, which she inhaled deeply. Her face bloomed with a warm smile as his fingers trailed through her hair, making the moment feel like an eternity. "It always amazes me how fast you can recognize me, Mia," spoke Dean calmly. He inhaled deeply, savoring the fragrant blend of sweet roses and calming lavender, which made him bury his face in her hair to enjoy the familiar, beloved scent. "I'm so sorry it took me a while to get here. I had to make sure no one was following me." "It's okay," muttered Mia. Her hand was on his cheek as she moved away, the gentle strokes of her fingers a final, tender touch. Mia's gaze was as soft, and she seemed to be holding onto every detail of the moment as if trying to memorize it. A smile brightened her face again as he drew near, savoring the warmth of her touch and losing himself in a moment. The robe, a swirling vortex of darkness, hissed and sizzled as it withered, its shadowy fingers extending over the floor like grasping claws. "I never wanted to leave you like this. I'm so sorry, Mia," spoke Dean softly. His words struck her, and she looked at his dark eyes, where she saw his pain and sadness, and it wounded her like she never wanted him to feel he had abandoned her. Without hesitation, she kissed him, a fleeting touch, and the sudden thud of her heart echoed in her ears. "You are here now. That's all that matters, love," whispered Mia. There was a connection, a captivating dance of light and darkness between them. As his fingers grazed her cheek, she responded with a soft smile that warmed the space between them. A deep, guttural rumble unexpectedly filled the area, vibrating through the ground and into their very bones. Mia quickly turned around, and her hand, glowing with a bright orb, pushing back the darkness and revealing the details of the area. In that moment, a sharp hiss of pain escaped Dean, and he quickly hid behind the bookshelf where the darkness offered him a moment of respite. She turned around a few times, a shiver running down her spine as she sensed the overwhelming, frigid energy surrounding the house. With her lips pressed into a thin line, she quickly crumbled the orb of light, and the smallest ones shot across the room like tiny stars, guarding the area and even the windows. Her eyes grew wide as she understood, and she pivoted, catching sight of her boyfriend who was crouched in the shadows of a bookshelf, hoping to be unseen. At that moment, her heart clenched and her vision blurred with tears as she understood her magic was causing him pain. Oh, Dean, I'm so sorry, love, spoke Mia with sadness in her voice. She slowly approached him, watching the lines of anguish etched on his face as he stared at her with unsettling, yellow, cat like eyes. Without a second thought, she grabbed an umbrella, and a soft click echoed as she opened it, casting a gentle shadow, shielding him from her magical light. As he gave her a weak smile, he realized how much her small act of kindness showed him how much she cared. With the shadows of the umbrella providing cover, he straightened it, observing the darkness glowing at the house, kept out by the magical light that seemed to hum with power. As it slammed against the windows, he could feel its anger, a tangible force accompanied by the mournful wail of the wind. With grimace, Tim pressed his lips into a thin line, knowing this encroaching darkness had been relentlessly pursuing them for years to twist Mia's pure spirit. As her magic light began to flicker, he heard the faint sound of her shallow breaths and noticed the fear in her eyes. He ignored the searing pain of her burning magic and swiftly dropped the umbrella, grabbing her hands. We need to get you out of here, stated Dean. As her hand pounded against her ribs, she parted her lips in a silent gasp. Stealing a look back, she saw her energy, a cascade of lights, fighting the darkness with desperate screams. As the magical words began to creak, a sense of urgency welled up in her heart as she realized their time was running out. Why? Why did it always after me? It's been years, Dean, muttered Mia. He gently guided her behind the bookshelf, his heart aching as he felt her tremble, aware that all she desired was peace. The soft light of the room reflected in her eyes, making her tears shine like tiny diamonds. I'm tired. I know, love. We'll find a way to get rid of it, spoke Dim calmly. His arms slowly enveloped her, and she could feel the darkness as a physical presence wrapping around her legs in a suffocating hug. She let out a long sigh as she understood that he needed to transport her into his pocket dimension, a place of nothingness, for her safety while he sought a secure haven. Trying to comfort her, he cupped her cheeks, feeling their softness beneath his fingers. I love you. I love you too, whispered Mia. As the darkness wrapped its fingers around her, she felt the gentle pressure of his lips on hers, making her feel as light as a feather. With all her heart, she trusted him deep down, comforted by the thought that he would never betray her. When he pulled his lips away, his nose brushed her cheek, and she felt a warm tear. I'll keep you safe, Mia. I promise. I know, admitted Mia. In the shadows, she felt his darkness embrace her, and she closed her eyes, feeling a physical tug as it pulled by an unseen force. The light in the room flickered, and Dean looked around, noticing how his robe swirled and twirled, whispering to him that she was in his pocket dimension. A heavy sigh escaped his lips, and his shoulders slumped as he hated that this was the only way to keep her safe. His eyes were glued to the window, and he watched the strong black tentacles of the night slam against the glass. Dean scoffed, his face contorted with anger as he pulled up his hood, becoming a shapeless shadow. With a flick of his wrist, he vanished, just as the shards of the glass cut through the air, glinting in the dim light. In that moment, there was no hope, no light.